Well, guys, it's finally happening. Doge is headed to the White House, and Bitcoin is currently over $90,000. But we're probably just getting started because the good news just keeps rolling in. So, what's next, and how far is this thing going to go? Like I said, Bitcoin is over $90,000, with it being at $92,200 at the time of recording. And I thought it was going to have a little bit of a pullback, and it did technically all the way down to about $85,000. But that was quickly bought up, and now it looks like we're continuing this parabolic run. Dogecoin made it almost all the way to 44 cents. It looks like it might have seen some resistance at about $0.420, 42 cents. But with Bitcoin continuing its run, it looks like Dogecoin is probably going to continue its climb as well. And Dogecoin still might actually be at a really good buying opportunity because Donald Trump actually just announced and officially released a memo that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to lead the Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge. It even says Republican politicians have dreamed about the objectives of Doge for a very long time. So obviously Doge is going to be in the news for a while, and we still might actually see Elon Musk add Doge as the first payment option on X payments, which we've been waiting on for a long time. And maybe since the election season has finally come to an end, he might have a little bit of extra time to finally send that Dogecoin to the actual moon like he promised in the last bull market. He hasn't mentioned either one of these things in quite some time, but hopefully he's going to start talking about them again soon, and when he does, that's just going to add more fuel to this rocket, and we might fly all the way past the moon this time and make it all the way to Mars. In the past 24 hours, almost $1 billion have been wrecked from the market in liquidations, and surprisingly, more than half of those have actually been longs. So be careful when you're dealing with leverage, because even if it is a god candle and you're long, you might actually still get wrecked because there's a lot of volatility in these markets and they're going to be swinging wildly. So you don't want to get caught up in something like a flash crash and miss all of the profits that you've been waiting all the way through the bear market to receive. I'm not saying that you can't use leverage. Obviously, you make your own decisions, but you probably don't want to use all of your Bitcoin to do that. Because if you get liquidated at a time like this, then you're going to be chasing those candles all the way up, and you're probably not going to be making as much money as you could have if you just had some Bitcoin and held on to it. You're so cute, you're going to fall down. You're sliding off my arm, buddy. Unfortunately, Elizabeth Warren was reelected, and she's probably going to continue her anti-crypto crusade. But with it being mostly Republicans in charge, hopefully nobody's going to listen to that crazy witch. And it looks like her puppet, Gary Gensler, is probably going to be resigning, hopefully this week. So it looks like their anti-crypto crusade might not actually be over yet, but it's going to go out with a whimper, I think. And hopefully soon we're going to be seeing some actual positive legislation that can see crypto being adopted by bigger companies and governments around the world. If Donald Trump does actually pull through with his Bitcoin strategic reserve, then I think we're going to see many countries around the world following suit, and that's going to cause a short squeeze and a supply crunch. And really, this is one of those white swan scenarios where we actually could maybe see a super cycle, and it could possibly be true what they say, that it's all up under Trump. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens, though, because we're obviously in unprecedented territory, and nobody knows what Donald Trump is actually going to do and how much of the government they're actually going to cut back. Shibatoshi Nakamoto, or Billy Marcus, the creator of Dogecoin, says that cutting government spending will be a painful thing. Our economy is addicted to government money, and the recent GDP growth has mostly been from unsustainable government spending. Government employees have lots of protections and can only be fired for cause and can appeal, which is expensive and time-consuming, but regardless of how it's done, in my opinion, it's absolutely necessary to reduce the insane amount of spending that we're doing, or our whole empire will collapse. I absolutely agree with that. But like I said in my last video, Elon Musk himself even said that this is going to cause some temporary hardship, and it does kind of make sense for Donald Trump to let the economy have its little bit of turmoil at the beginning of his administration, because then he can basically blame it on the Biden administration, and whenever he comes to the end of his term, hopefully the economy is going to be doing a lot better, and then he can take credit, and he'll go down in history as the president that turned the economy around and avoided a depression. It really makes sense to me that we might actually see a bear market at the beginning of Donald Trump's term. And there's definitely going to be a whole bunch of uncertainty if they do really cut back on 3/4 of the government like Elon Musk has said he's going to do. So don't get caught up in the FOMO and don't let your emotions get the best of you, because you got to pay attention to what's actually going on. And it always gets pumpiest right before it gets dumpiest, and vice versa. So whenever everybody thinks that this thing is going to continue and last forever and altcoin season is totally ripping, that's probably a good sign that it's time to take some profits, because nothing goes up in a straight line forever. And if you make life-changing money, then you don't want to see it evaporate overnight, because that's what can happen whenever this blow off top does happen. And like they say, nobody ever went broke from taking profits, so don't forget to do that this time, because I didn't take as many as I wish I did last time. And I think that's the case that most people find themselves in. All right, you got to get down, buddy. For now, though, I think we've still got a lot of ripping ahead of us. And a lot of people have been calling for $100,000 for Bitcoin before the inauguration. But honestly, if it continues like this, then we might even make it there by tomorrow. And this thing's probably just really getting started. So if you haven't got your bags packed all the way like you want them to be, then just be careful chasing those green candles. And in my opinion, what I would do is probably wait for some kind of a retracement, because that's always going to happen. And in my experience, it usually happens basically right after you FOMO in. The good news isn't up yet, because it looks like Robinhood has just added Sol, Pepe, XRP, and ADA back to the platform. And now you can trade those crypto assets, which is probably going to cause them to have a pretty sharp spike in their price. That's what usually happens when they get added to a new platform or re-added. And as the bull market continues to heat up, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more assets being added to exchanges like Robinhood. And with Robinhood being the newbie platform in the last bull market, it might be again. So just pay attention to crypto assets that get added to this platform, because they don't have a whole bunch of listings. But if they want to keep up with the other exchanges like Coinbase, then they're going to have to add a whole bunch of meme coins and stuff. And those things are probably going to rip like crazy. There's rumors circulating that maybe Michael Saylor is going to be going on Joe Rogan. And like this post here says, this definitely isn't priced in yet. And I don't really know what the effects of this are going to be. But if you've ever listened to Michael Saylor talk, I'm sure he's going to have Joe Rogan like buying a bunch of Bitcoin and announcing it, maybe even during the podcast itself. But I think Joe Rogan probably already owns some Bitcoin. And this is a really great opportunity for a whole bunch of people who have probably heard of Bitcoin but don't understand it to actually get a crash course on how it works, so that they can realize that they actually need to get a little bit and get off zero, as they say, or else they're going to be missing out on one of the greatest opportunities to ditch the sinking dollar and escape the inflation cycle, so that maybe they can actually start to build some wealth instead of just trying to keep up with the inflation and basically just spend all their money like the system is built to have us do. Anyway, it's not confirmed that he's going to be going on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan usually doesn't announce his guests before they go on, so it could just drop randomly at any time. But if it happens, I'm just going to let you know right now, you're going to get tired of hearing all of the clips, because people in crypto are going to be using that content for a long, long time. For now, though, it looks like we're probably headed to $100,000 with or without a Michael Saylor, Joe Rogan podcast. And I'm not saying we're going to dip before we get to $100,000, but that is a huge psychological level. And we might see some resistance there. But in my opinion, any dip is probably a really great buying opportunity. But this isn't obviously financial advice. Obviously, right? Anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. What is going to be the top of this market? Are we going to see some resistance at $100,000? Or is it all up under Trump and we're going to $1 million this bull market? Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if I brought you value. But most importantly, don't forget to do only good every day. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.